Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Craig Eichelman with AARP, and welcome to AARP Kansas City Presents. Today, we'll be talking with Lori Elam with the Kansas City Board of Election Commissioners. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning, Craig. You got an easy name to remember. That's one of my brother's names.
All right. Well, we're really happy to have somebody from the Kansas City Board of Elections with us today, because one of AARP's highest priorities this fall is ensuring that people have choices when voting and can vote safely. The constituents we serve, people 50 and over, make up a huge percentage of those who vote. And this year, with the coronavirus pandemic, there are a lot of questions on what kind of accommodations and choices are available for voters of any age. So to start with, Lori, I think some of us have a general idea of what the Kansas City Board of Elections does, but can you give us a general overview of the roles and responsibilities of the board?
Okay, the Kansas City Board of Elections is responsible for hosting all elections. We not only do school board, state and federal elections, but we also do smaller elections for churches and union organizations. And we are definitely serious about making it extremely transparent for everyone.
All right, thank you. And just obviously, this can be seen everywhere, not just Kansas
Sure.
City. But I want to let our viewers know that we're doing this as a service for Kansas City. But check with your local board of elections where you live for when we answer some of these questions today. The answers might be a little different in your jurisdiction, but this is for
Absolutely.
Kansas City. And Lori, there are a lot of voters out there who will vote in person on election day, and there are others who may not feel safe doing so. So we're hearing a lot about in the news about absentee voting. How does that work in Kansas City, and is it a good choice for someone who doesn't want to vote in person?
Well, certainly it is. Absentee, we opened absentee satellite here in the Union Station in our innovation room on September 22nd. That was the first day of in-person absentee. And so we've absentee, to my understanding, has been around for about 30 years or more. And what happens? You have to have an excuse. That's why it's not called early voting, is it requires an excuse. Previously, we had 6 reasons. One, I'll go through the 6 reasons for you, and I'll discuss the um, new reason that the governor just instated in July. The first is you are going to be absent from your jurisdiction on election day. The second one is that you're confined or you're incapacitated. You yourself are ill or you're taking care of someone. The third is religious belief. Um, the next one is employment, say, for instance, for KCB on election day, incarceration, awaiting trial, and the certified participation in the witness protection. Now, all of those have been in place for many years. The seventh one is the newest one, and that deals with this is for um, just this actually will expire on December 31st. And if you're 65 uh, years or older, if you've contracted COVID or at risk of contracting COVID, um, if you have any immunocompromisation, if you live in a long-term care facility, if you have diabetes or you have any type of serious respiratory problems, if you're on dialysis, if you have liver disease, heart disease, or any type of chronic lung disease, you are able to vote the number 7, which does not require a notary, and that's been newly instated by the governor, and this does expire on December 31st of 2020.
A little promotion for AARP. We were instrumental in getting that seventh excuse added, so
Important.
people have that option. So,
So,
are there any other options, on election day?
are we
Besides,
talking about on election day? Or are you talking about absentee? Are we still talking about absentee?
well, vote by mail is.
Oh, yes, vote by mail. All you have to do is be a Missouri resident and register to vote. and you request a vote by mail ballot. The challenge with that is that it does require a notary, and I think I'm going to have to parallel both of these so that the
Yeah.
viewers understand clearly. Vote by mail is for anyone. You can be 18, you can be 50, you can vote by mail. However, it must be notarized, and it must be returned to us by mail. One of the challenges that we had is that it also has to come to us. Either someone has to drop that off. It can't be faxed or emailed, just like the other traditional absentee. It has to come one or two ways: dropped off in person or by mail. So that must be notarized. And what we've done is we have a partnership. We've got mobile notaries. We have over 190 notaries that will either come to your house, set an appointment. You can come to them. It's
Oh,
whatever your
wonderful.
needs are. So you can visit kcb.org and you will see the list of mobile notaries, and they will come to you, and the service is free.
Terrific. Can we just spend a minute on voting absentee in person?
Certainly.
Thank you.
And I must add that the only criteria on the absentee that does not require a notary, an absentee ballot that does not require a notary, is the confinement due to illness, which is number two on the application, and number seven, which I mentioned, the 65 years or older, and those other eight issues that you may have that fall under number seven.
Okay.
As far as absentee in person, all of those reasons still apply. Uh, one through seven apply for in-person absentee voting. In-person absentee voting here is taking place in the Innovation Center. We are open Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. You come in, we are practicing social distancing. If you follow sort of the yellow brick road, we have yellow arrows and spacing on the floor. So you come in Union Station on the west side, you park in the west parking garage, and we do provide parking validations if you park on the west parking garage. That's the shortest route. So if you park in the front of the building, it's a much longer walk.
Gotcha.
And we do have elevators and escalators to assist as well. We have roughly about 15 machines, ballot marking devices. And for the satellites, because there are 107 ballot styles, you come in, you check in with the election judge.
Hmm.
You present whatever form of ID you have. It can be a state issued ID. It could be a utility bill. It could be your voter registration card. It could be a bank statement. If you're a student, it could be your university ID. As long as you're registered, you should come up in our system. Once you check in, you follow the arrows on the floor, you stand in a line, and then you're able to go ahead and vote on the ballot marking device. Now, I want to be clear about the ballot marking device because you actually get to see in Missouri, the law is you really have to have a paper trail. So there's a ballot cast for every single voter. The difference is that the ballot marking device marks the ballot, the actual physical paper ballot for you, and you don't do it yourself. So, in other words, you don't have to make sure you're coloring in between the lines, the bubbles accurately, because oftentimes our hands are shaky and you cover outside the
Yeah.
line. And on
Yeah.
the back end for us, we have to end up making a remake because the machine reads it differently. So, the ballot marking devices are what we use at the satellite locations.
Okay.
You can also surrender your absentee ballot if you receive one and surrender that at the satellite poll, and we would allow you to vote in person. We would just spoil that ballot and we would check you in.
Got it. Thank you for that. For those of you just joining us, we are speaking with the representative from the Kansas City Board of Elections. No matter where you're viewing this, this is good information, but this is information specific to Kansas City. And a lot of jurisdictions, Laurie, we hear on the news are uh, changing the number of polling places in the community. So, where do I go to find out my polling place? What do I need to do?
What you do is you go to kceb.org. In the top left-hand corner, there is a box that said check your status. You enter your last name and your date of birth, and that gives you your specific poll location and the ballot style that is specific to you, your ward and precinct. One thing that's key about that is if our satellites open up on October the 13th in other locations, but at the satellite polls there will not be any pre-printed paper ballots that you will have to, you know, vote on the ballot marking device, which once people are no longer afraid of it, you'll actually start to like it. I've got a lot of seniors that I've shown how to utilize the machine, and they like it a lot better,
Good.
essentially. But with the satellite polls, we will have four of them, including us, and those will be open from 10 to 10 to 5, 10 to 6 Monday through Thursday, 10 to 5 on Friday, and 10 to 2 on Saturday, with the exception of the whole person. The whole person, we have a great rapport with them, and they service differently abled voters. And we do have adaptive equipment in all of our satellite poles. So, in other words, if you're blind, we do have a panel on the side that has Braille. And you can bring a lot of our blind voters. They have their own headphones. But if you don't have your own headphones, we do have headphones for you. We have a sip and puff and a rocker panel. So if in fact you don't even have hands, we have a device that you could blow through and you can still cast your ballot independent of assistance from anyone else. So we wanted to be all inclusive there.
Very good. Well, let's say it's election day and I've done none of that. I'm used to going to a certain place to vote. What happens if I show up at the wrong polling place?
Well,
Can I still vote?
yes, you still can vote as long as you don't mind um, voting on a ballot marking device. That's now what we do is we send out voter notification cards 2 weeks prior to every election. Your voter notification card will provide you with the necessary information for your home poll if you require the need to vote on a pre-printed paper ballot. Otherwise, all Kansas City voters can pull over and vote wherever they like. They can vote at Arrowhead if they'd like, as long as they don't mind utilizing the ballot marking device.
All right. Well, so I get the postcard in the mail. What else do I need to bring with me on election day to vote?
Well, if you have a mask, we would like for you to wear them. If you don't, we have enough that we are able to provide one for you. Bring any type of identification that I've listed earlier, and you just walk in the poll and you will be able to vote.
That's terrific. Um, let's say I bring all that with me and I feel pretty confident, but the poll worker says my name is not on the list of registered voters. Um, that can be kind of a panicky feeling. What are my options to get that remedied?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. While I've seen that this has happened thus far in our satellite polls, because voters sometimes they figure they live in Kansas City, even if they live in North Kansas City. So sometimes your name will not appear in our roll because you're supposed to really be voting in Platte County, or you're supposed to be voting in Jackson County. However, if that is the case, we have what is called a voter assistance specialist. This person has a laptop computer that has the entire database for those in our jurisdiction. So therefore, you would go to the voter assistance specialist. They would look your name up. 9 times out of 10, you would be
That's right
in the
there. That's right
database.
there it's right there in the polling place. I'm not
Yes,
having to go anywhere
they're
else.
sitting. No, they're sitting at a different table off to
Excellent.
themselves. Those are the people that you will see with the laptop. And we've had a software devised because we once were able to utilize the state database in-house. But with all the cybersecurity issues that we've heard about in the past, we've created our own software so it's isolated and nothing that we're utilizing on election day is hooked up to the internet. So that shouldn't be a concern.
So a lot of confidence that it's not being played around with. It's good, solid data.
Absolutely.
And if I'm in
Absolutely.
there, I'm in there, and great. Um, we've asked a lot of questions, and I'm sure there are folks out there who have other questions. How can they get a hold of the board between now and election day to have a question answered?
Well, they can do it one or two ways. They can dial 816-842-4820, or they can go to kceb@kceb.org and they can send us an email. We get thousands of those a day, and so we do respond. I'm part of the response team, so I have a team of people that do respond to any questions. And feel free to call and ask. There's no such thing as a stupid question if you don't know the answer.
That's terrific. Well, I was in a conversation yesterday with our friends at Ride KCATA. Also want to remind everybody that on Election Day it's zero fare. There's no charge for riding the bus or any form of mass transit in Kansas City. So we encourage everybody to get out and vote. But Lori, thank you for being with us today, and thanks to
Thank
all
you.
our viewers for joining us and to learn how to vote safely in Kansas City this November. Please share this video with others who may need it, and don't forget to like us on Facebook and YouTube.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.